I can say it just fine in English, chocolate bunny, but saying it in German, even with it spelled out in front of me, Schokohase, 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 not a million years am I going to get anywhere near close to that. But I don't need to try, because I could just show it to you right here and you guys get the point of what I'm talking about. So we'll get into that shoe, whatever it's called. I'm just going to go with chocolate bunny and stick with that, it's nice and safe. But we also need to get into the two hits of chocolate on these guys. They look like they're a one hit shoe, you know, it's all chocolate, all brown, but there's another bit that maybe people haven't seen and don't really know about. And there is, of course, that clever piece of branding on there as well, which not many people know about too. So we'll get into that today too, and then we'll also ask that question, what's going on at Adidas? Because I haven't done an Adidas sneaker for a very long time. It's been mostly Nike, a couple of Reebok thrown in there, and even a few Asics in there as well. But I can't remember the last time I did an Adidas shoe, so it feels like Adidas are sort of stepping back and just watching the game right at the moment, and that's why we've got shoes like this that come to the fore instead of, say, Yeezys, for example, or you know, the 4D line, you know, 3D printed midsoles and all that kind of stuff. So so that's a question to ask. Also, those two hits of chocolate on here, not one, and the name of the shoe too, so and all the details that go with that. So without further ado, let's get into this and have a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Adidas ZX 10000C Schokohase. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker channelです。毎日アップするので毎日見てください。Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews, and I can give you Chokoreto Usagi, which is chocolate and rabbit in Japanese. So I've got that, but I can't give it to you in German, even though it's spelled out there first on this shoe, Schokohase. Surely somebody can correct us all down in the comments down below and give us a pronunciation lesson on this shoe. But what I can give to you guys is the information that we're looking at today. So I'm going to dive right in, answer those questions that I've already asked at the start of the video, and then we'll get into the hits of branding on the shoe. So question number one is the two hits of chocolate on it. Now already on the green screen behind me here, you can see the shoe and you can see how brown it is, very chocolatey. Now for me, yes, chocolate bunnies and all that Easter, but for me it's chocolate Easter eggs, those kind of like large Easter eggs, hollow. You can kind of break them in half. Sometimes they'd have something in the middle there. It's all about the Easter eggs for me, and me being British, and sort of that's my kind of cultural take on it. But I know other cultures are more interested in that Easter bunny or chocolate bunny, and that's what we've got here. And so that brown upper, a couple of, you know, variations in the color of brown on there that we'll get into today, but basically that's the one that everybody's sort of like, yeah, that's a chocolate shoe for a chocolate Easter bunny. But here's the other one. This is the one that less people out there are knowing about, and we're talking about the box that these guys come in, and at first glance you're kind of like, wow, that's a pretty neat looking box, but then you zoom in on it and get a bit close and you realize that it's an aluminium foil effect that they've gone for on the box there, which certainly represents you know, chocolate Easter eggs, chocolate Easter bunnies, all that kind of stuff wrapped in that thin aluminium silver foil, and that effect on the box is the one that people are not so picking up on, and I think it's very worth knowing, because the detail that kind of elevate a shoe to the next level. So that's question number one, the two hits of chocolate on this shoe, not just the one. And then the other two, you will get into, you know, I'll go with the branding first, and then we'll talk about why I think things are a bit odd at Adidas these days. And what I'm talking about is on the heel here. Here's the main piece of branding on this shoe, and I don't know if it'll be showing up well enough for you guys to pick it up, but what it basically is a bunny with a bow tie on, and that's your chocolate Easter bunny blazoned on the back of these shoes, and that sort of debossed branding on the back there. So so I said that at the top of the video, the special piece of branding on there that not many people are catching, because it's kind of the lower down in the sort of order of things to look at. Lateral side, medial side, insole, that kind of stuff comes first, and finally get to those heels, which hopefully are showing up pretty nice on the green screen here to give you that extra piece of branding. And then the final thing was about what's going on at Adidas. So after a couple of seconds just talking about Adidas, we'll get into the hits on the shoe, and we'll look at things like the torsion bar, the Dubrays on these things, and the mesh versus the suede, that kind of stuff. But first, I just want to dip into that Adidas thing, because it really feels like Adidas have taken a step back, whereas Nike have not. I don't feel like there's been a drop in production at the Nike line. If you look at, for example, today, what's the date today? Is it the 23rd today? And this video will probably go up on the 25th, which is just before the Air Max day on 26th. 26th, and they haven't let up in the drops coming in the lead up to the March 26th and also March 26th itself. There's plenty of shoes dropping from the Nike line and still on other lines like the Jordan line, LeBron, stuff like that. They're all dropping their sneakers on what seems to be a fairly consistent pace, but then over at Adidas they've pared it back a bit. They've taken a little step back. Of course there are a few Yeezys dropping out there, and of course you get your 4D Futurecraft 3D printed midsoles dropping every so often as well, but it just feels like they've dropped it back a little bit, and they're sort of saying, right, we're not sure how this pandemic's going to play out, so instead of risking it, we're just going to sort of step back, slow production down a little bit, put out fewer shoes in fewer quantities, and then when, you know, stuff picks up, the economies pick up, you know, the commerce picks up again after the pandemic, then you'll see a surge of Adidas shoes. So for me, the two companies are treating it in a very different way. Nike just sort of ignoring it and going ahead with what has always been, and then Adidas a much more cautious approach. I don't know if that is what they're doing, it's just my feeling, and I don't know which one will be more successful. My feeling is Adidas, to be honest. But watch this space over the next 12 months and see what kind of production numbers Adidas are starting to churn out as we get out of this pandemic and into normal life one more time. So enough about that. That's the three things I asked at the top of the video. You know, the chocolate in two places, the shoe itself and its box, the branding on the back there with that Easter bunny, and then you know, the sneaker talk about Adidas and what's going on over there. So the last thing to do, as I said at the top of this video, is to get into the hits on this shoe and have a close-up look at it. So what we're going to do first, we're going to zoom in on the lateral side to give you a real sense of how the mesh and the suede complement each other. And they've done a great job of making sure these two are in the same basic colorway. There doesn't seem to be too much difference. If there is, it's in the suede being slightly darker than the mesh, but that's a good thing because suede naturally fades over time, so that dark brown in the suede will fade to a lighter brown and it'll match the mesh on there even more. But staying on that lateral side, there's a pretty unique bit of design going on the side of these things because of that Adidas three-stripe branding down the side. It almost looks like it's elasticated and it's sort of hinged onto the lace stays in the middle of the lacing system up there. You've got specific three in the middle that are kind of unique. They kind of remind me of Jordan 3s, to be honest. I know that's sort of blasphemy, but that's just the way I look at it. So the middle three lace stays on the whole lacing unit are tying to that lateral side three-stripe branding on there, and you get that sense of the mesh and the suede going side by side. Now we can come forward from that a bit and have a look at the toe on the shoe, and then back a bit and have a look at the tongue, so you get an idea of where that suede and where that mesh sort of play off against each other. But we want to go all the way back round to the midfoot to have a look at the torsion branding on the side there, and that sort of torsion wave that's more of the new kind of style for torsion. New as in relatively new, because I'm talking memory of torsion that goes back like 35 years. So you've got that torsion wave on the side, but you also have that same torsion wave in the doubrés at the bottom of the lacing system. And then if we travel up the laces and get to the top of the tongue, you can see debossed in the brown leather there. You've got the brown standard Adidas trefoil branding at the top of the tongues there. So neat sort of hits of branding on the shoe in those ways. And then we get down into the midsole and have a look at the only real variation in colour on these guys comes in the midsole, where the back half is kind of tan and the front half is kind of white. So it gives you a little bit more, because if they'd gone with brown in there, like chocolate brown in there, it would have been way too much for the whole shoe as a total. And then you go to the outsole and have a look at the outsole, and it's just a great looking outsole, but the only thing that I can look at is the torsion bar there in its classic OG style. If you know anything about early 90s Adidas, that torsion was huge in the early 90s, but it was yellow back in the early 90s. I don't remember seeing any other colours in the early 90s. Of course, they've added colours over time. And in the case of these guys, it is that OG torsion bar in there, but it isn't in yellow, it's in the brown that matches the rest of this shoe. And then the last thing to do is to go back towards the sort of heel section and have a look at this contemporary heel cup on there, which is very sort of hints at the Ultra Boost line, especially 2019, 20 and 21 variant that had a kind of pipe style heel cup on the back of those shoes there, and you can see very much these guys here having a similar kind of construction, although slightly different, but basically the roots of it are in the same place. And then finally out to have a look at the whole shoe again, the Schokohase. Still not getting it right, but somebody surely has corrected us in the comments down below and told us the correct pronunciation about this shoe, and that's a great way to finish up this video and leave it off. Now, I'm seeing these guys as coming on April the 3rd, according to Sole Supplier in the UK. That doesn't mean to say they haven't already dropped elsewhere, or they will not drop later elsewhere, but that's just what Sole Supplier is saying. Most of the other places are just saying spring 2021, so not sure exactly when the drop date is, but if we can trust the guys over at Sole Supplier, we'll know it's April the 3rd. So a shoe to keep your eye out for upcoming in the next week or so. And with that being said, it's time for me just to wrap up this video and finish it up. Hopefully you appreciated that. Didn't make your mouth water too much as you think about those, the Easter chocolates, the Easter chocolate eggs, and the Easter bunny and the Easter chocolate bunnies and stuff like that. So I enjoyed bringing that video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it too. And if you did, then I can just say the same thing at the end of every single video, say today as well, which is to remind you I do this every single day. So if you want to see more content, you know that you can come around and you're guaranteed to see me tomorrow.